Hello, my dear students. Welcome again to my online class. This is Shorkat Taslim Afroz, lecturer, Department of English. My dear students, I know you students are very happy because you have received your syllabus from the Ministry of Education and you have phobia about different important topics and many tricky topics have been omitted from your syllabus. But dear students, in your existing syllabus, still there are some topics which are very tricky. In my today's class, dear students, I will talk about a topic which is transformation of sentence. Yes, dear students, as I said, you have phobia. You have phobia about simple, complex and compound. And luckily enough that these three topics have been omitted from your syllabus. And from this topic, you will get how to change voice, degree and sentence according to meaning. So dear students, all your subject teachers have already discussed every single topics in your class and you know how to change them. In my today's class, I will give you an overview about voice change, about degree and sentence according to meaning. After that, we will solve a sample question. Remember, in your examination, you will find 10 questions and the total mark is 10. But my dear students, today in my class, I will discuss 15 sentences. And definitely, I will help you to solve all these sentences. So my dear students, now let's start. Well, my dear students, today's topic, transformation of sentences. And for transformation of sentences, we have to know some related topics. And the related topics are change of voice, change of degrees, and change of sentences according to meaning. Dear students, I will discuss everything one by one, but I will give you an overview. First one is voice. What do you mean by voice? This is important to know. Voice is the way of expressing verbs, I emphasize verbs, which describes whether the subject does the work or it has been done by the subject. And remember, this voice is two types. One is active voice, another is passive voice. And my dear students, I know you know the definition, but as I said, this is only a summary of this topic. Remember, the sentence in which the subject does the work by himself actively, in that sentence the verb has an active voice. And the structure is very simple: subject, verb and object. Now, number 2, passive voice. What do you mean by passive voice? Well, the sentence in which the subject does not do the work by himself actively, rather the object's work is done by the subject. In that sentence, the verb has passive voice. And remember, for passive voice, the subject of active voice will be object and the object will be subject. So the object plus V verb or verb past participle plus by plus subject. Now dear students, I'm sure you understand these two topics. Another important things you have to remember, voice change executes three major changes. The changes are: number 1, it changes the functions of the subject and the object, as I have already mentioned. And number 2, it changes the position of subject and object. Once again, it changes the form of the verbs. So dear students, I'm sure you know how to change voice active to passive. Now I will discuss degree. Now my dear students, as you can see on the screen, rules of transformation of degree. You know, degree divided into 3 groups: positive degree, comparative degree and superlative degree. Remember, the degrees of comparison related to adjective and adverbs. and every adjective and adverb can be written in one of the three degrees. First one is positive degree. This offers no comparison. It just tells us about the existence of a quality. Like you can say, Shakil is a good boy. Here, Shakil is not compared with anyone. It's just a basic example definition. Next, comparative degree. This compares two things to show which has the lesser or greater degree of the quality. For example, you can see Dhaka is bigger than any other city in Bangladesh. And number 3, superlative degree. This compares more than two things to show which has the latest and the greatest degree of the quality. For example, you can say Ripon was the most intelligent boy of all our friends. Here, Ripon is compared with more other friends. So dear students, I'm sure now you can understand easily what is positive degree, comparative and superlative degree. Well, my dear students, I have prepared a rule for you. As you can see on the screen, there are three important rules to change positive to comparative and comparative to superlative. But I have mentioned here one which is about no other. Then you also can use very few. As you can see on the screen, by using no other plus object or extension or is, was or verb. You can use so or as plus positive form plus as or subject. By this way, you can write positive degree. Dear students, there are two or more different rules for positive degree. Now, I will give another rule for comparative degree. How to change it? For comparative degree, you can use subject plus am, is, are, was, were or verb plus comparative form plus then any other plus object or extension. By this way, you can write comparative degree. Dear students, please, I am giving you an overview, but you have to know more rules how to change positive to superlative or superlative to comparative. By this way, you will be able to obtain a good mark in this topic. Now, superlative degree. For superlative degree, you can write subject plus am, is, are, was or were, or you can use verb. After that, you have to use the. Remember, dear students, when you are writing a superlative degree or superlative sentence, you have to use their the. Then superlative form plus object and extension. Once again, I am asking you to know more rules about this degree. Now, dear students, I will discuss about sentence. Now, my dear students, you can see on the screen I have prepared sentences are of mainly 5 types. That means, according to meaning, sentences are divided into 5 groups. One is assertive sentence, imperative sentence, interrogative sentence, optative sentence, and lastly, exclamatory sentence. Dear students, I know you students are very happy, as I said earlier, that you have a phobia about simple, complex and compound. But in this topic, there is no more simple, complex and compound. Now, we will solve sample question. As I said earlier, in your examination, you will find 10 questions and the total mark is 10. But here I have prepared 15 sentences for you, and all these will help you to practice. And remember, proper practice makes a man perfect. So now let's start. Yes. Change the sentences according to the direction. That means you will be directed to change the sentence and you have to follow all this. First one is for you. One, you can see on the screen. We are grateful to the freedom fighters. You have to change it as negative. Remember, this sentence is positive form, so you have to pick the adjective form and you have to change it. As you can see on the screen, I have prepared the answer. We are not an ungrateful to the freedom fighters. That means to make it negative, we use here ungrateful. Now, number 2 for you. Their contribution is greater than any other things. You have to make it positive. You can see here two things are compared. And to make it positive, you have to use here no other, which I have already mentioned. No other thing is so or as great as their contribution. Now, number 3. A freedom fighter is the greatest son of the soil. Comparative. Dear students, I hope you understand how to change this. Yes, you are absolutely right, my dear student. This answer will be a freedom fighter is greater than any other son of the soil. So you have to know more rules to change all this. Now, number 4. We got our independence for their sacrifice. That means the freedom fighter. You have to change it as an interrogative. Remember, when you have to change interrogative, find out the auxiliary verb or the main verb. If in a sentence there is a main verb, you have to use their do, did or does. Now you can write this way. Didn't we get our independence for their sacrifice? Yes. By this way you can change interrogative form. Now number 5. Their contribution will never be forgotten. You have to make it affirmative. And remember, you have to use here never. For never, you can use always or ever. And for forgotten, you can use remembered. So the answer is very clear. Their contribution will always or ever be remembered. Now, number 6. The government has taken some steps to improve their condition. Make it passive. Yes, dear students, I'm sure you can remember, as I said earlier, in passive sentence or for passive sentence, you have to use the object form of subject and the subject form will be object. So you can use it like this. Some steps have been taken by the government to improve the condition. Yes, the object is subject here, and for active voice, the subject is object here. By this way, you can change passive voice. Well, then number 7. Number 7 is Shakil is a brilliant student. Wow. You have to change it as exclamatory. And you all know for exclamatory sentence, you can use what or how. Here, what a brilliant student Shakil is. Now, number 8. He is a regular student. Once again, you have to make it negative. And now, the answer is very clear. He is not an irregular student. Now number 9. As you can see on the screen, he is not inattentive to his studies. And you have to make it an affirmative. So you can choose here in attentive to attentive. He is attentive to his studies. By this way, dear students, you can change affirmative to negative or negative to affirmative. Now, my question is, he always helps the weak students. You have to make it passive once again. And I'm sure you can remember the tricks how to change it active to passive. Yes, dear students, you are right. The answer is very easy. You have to use the object as subject to make it passive. The weak students are always helped by him, and he was our subject for active. Now, number 11. He is the best of all students. You have to make it positive. As I said, this one is a superlative sentence. You can find it very easily when there is the and after the superlative form. So you can use this one by writing, no other student is so good or as good as he. Number 12. You can see on the screen, women are so important as men in the society. You have to make it comparative. You understand here two things is compared to person, women and men, two topics. Now the answer is men are not more important than women in the society. Number 13 is on the screen. They have noble mission to fulfill as men. Interrogative. You know how to change it as interrogative. Yes, my dear students, you are absolutely right. To make it interrogative, you have to find out the auxiliary verb. If auxiliary verb is missing, in that case, you have to use do, did, or does. So you can use don't they have noble mission to fulfill as men. Number 14. 14, you can see, I wish all our women were educated. And you have to make it an exclamatory. As you can see on the screen, the answer is prepared for you. If all our women were educated. So you have to use here an exclamatory sign. Remember it, my dear students. Now last one, number 15. An educated mother is better than an uneducated mother. You have to make it positive. Here this sentence is comparative, and the answer is an uneducated mother is not so good as an educated mother. My dear students, I am sure now this topic is very clear to you. You know how to change a sentence without changing the meaning. Now, please keep practicing so that you can obtain a good mark in this topic. Dear students, if you have any kind of problem, please ask your subject teacher. And that's all for today. See you later in my next class. Till then, Allah Hafiz.